showing me the chat. So I'm going to try to fix that, and then we will get a little drawing going. I don't know why it is doing this. It is very strange. So we've been traveling for a few days. A little travel, a little sleep, a little packing, a little snowstorm, a little lost endeavors, but we're back home now. Hey, Mario Rant Central. Okay, so YouTube is now showing me. It would not show me the chat. It just started showing me the chat. Okay. Hi, I'm Chris. Hey, Marnie. We did get out, but the first set, just the first 4. We missed them because it closed early because there was a snowstorm. It's all right. I'm gonna post that. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I was it was a struggle. I'm really glad to be back on. Yeah, we had the snowstorm, so I couldn't stream because we didn't have internet at the place we were, and it wasn't safe to travel. And that really stunk. And then we didn't have heat where we were. Well, we had like space heaters, but we didn't have heat where we were. And it just sucked. Let's do like a 3D Pac-Man. I think that could be fun. What would a 3D Pac-Man look like? So I used to play a Pac-Man video game. Like, not Pac-Man. I used to play I still play Pac-Man. I am on the mobile version. I'm the top 3%, and on the computer version, I'm in the top 100 on Pac-Man 256. Huge fan of Pac-Man. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we should, because we're planning on doing more craft shows than last year. We're planning on going to some of the local ones. We moved to a new city. We moved to Kingston, New York. And so there's a lot of craft fairs and shows around here, and there's ones in Woodstock, which is nearby. So that'll be really great. Oh, that's great. I am drawing a Pac-Man Gamer Quick Hotshot, which I know is not visually interesting, but that was the request. So Pac-Man, genuinely, they were trying to make a game that would appeal to everybody. So this is a 3D Pac-Man. So this, we'll just color this in. What is it? So that's, I think, should have been a little bit deeper. So Pac-Man is named after the sound he makes. Paka, 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 paka. And one of the reasons he was created, I forget the name of the creator of the video game, but the creator of the video game, he was saying like, oh, how do we make a game that's good for women? I want everyone to be able to play my game, not just men, who I guess at the time were the main demographic for video games. And he was like, I know what women like, cleaning. And he was like, no, that's rude. Cooking, no. I know. I want it to be something that everyone likes. I'll make it food. And he was eating a pizza, and he looked down, and he saw this in the pizza. I assume it was pepperoni because this is a story, and when stories have pizza, it's always pepperoni. And he goes, perfect. And like, it'll be about eating. That's the mouth. Paka, paka, paka. Oh, cool. I did not know that. And so this is the origin story of Pac-Man. And then in Japan, it's not called Pac-Man. What is it? It's because he makes a noise, right? He says, we say in America, he says paka paka paka, but I think in Japan it was puka 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 puka, like, yeah, Puckman, right, right, exactly. And so they changed it because they were like, you're just gonna have people scrape that out and it's gonna be Fuckman. We don't want that. And so they changed it for the American version, the arcade game. Uh, yeah, and also, did you know some of the original? The first video game I ever played. I was like 3 or 4 years old, and my nana used to go bowling, and in the bowling alley they had a bar. And in the bar they had an arcade game. It was the only thing there that wasn't bowling, but or eating. And I would get quarters and I would go sit at a little chair and play Pac-Man. And this Pac-Man was on a tabletop just like this. And in the little cubby inside here, which there was a joystick. And then so you put the quarters in here. And I sat and I used to play Pac-Man so much, just sitting here like Pekka, 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 Pekka. Yeah, that was the first video game I ever played. And it was like in a bar that I definitely was not allowed to be in. But my nana wanted to play bowling, to bowl on like her bowling league nights. And they were like, yeah, the bar's not open. Years later, I worked at that bowling alley. They eventually put in, like a couple years after that, they put in an arcade room, which had a bunch of arcade games. Oh, nice. Yeah, I worked at a coffee shop and I used to ask people like what is the first video game, not the first video game you ever played, but the first video game you ever played and you were like, I like video games. I like that game. I want to play that again. Because I find some people play a video game and it's like whatever. And then years later they play a different video game and they're like, "Holy crap, video games are cool." And so I wanted to know what was the first video game you ever played and you were like, "I want to keep playing this." For mine, it's the same. It's Pac-Man both times. But so then they had a Mrs. Pac-Man arcade at the pizza parlor, and I used to play the crap out of that. And I just love Pac-Man. One of the earliest video games I ever played, and I still play it. I have the Pac-Man 256 installed on my computer right now, and I play that frequently. Not like every week or something, but pretty frequently. I'm in the top 100 players. I enjoy it. If you if you have it, look me up. We'll be Steam friends. We are talking about Pac-Man. Uh-oh. I don't know where my sharpeners... Oh, I have this one. We'll sharpen with this one. We'll put it into the... Oh, yeah. So for the strange and weird, I always wanted to build an arcade. You guys, you can build arcades. They're pretty simple. You can either do it with the original like circuit boards, but a lot of people just do it with an old computer and MAME, which works pretty good for certain games. For some games, it's not great. Ah, bow in the head. That's nice. I love good bows, man. A good bow placement is killer. It's like really good. Like, who knew? I guess bows used to be like a genuine need, right? Like your clothes would fasten with a big piece of ribbon, and then you'd have these two big pieces of ribbon, and you weren't just gonna tie it and have them be like hanging down like a doofus. So you like made it pretty. Oh, that's great. No, catching ghosts is really hard. It was the best way to get scores too. If you can catch them really good, even in the new ones, most of the time, if you're really good at catching ghosts, because every ghost you catch doubles the points that they're worth. If you get up there, man, and you can, even in the original, I'm not 100% on this. In Mrs. Pac-Man and a lot of the remakes of the original or like new versions where they just change it slightly, like Pac-Man. Is it DX or XD? It's not XD. That would be funny. Pac-Man XD roar. Um, you can catch 8 ghosts, which is in a row because you get 2 pellets, at least 7, but I think 8. You get a pellet, you capture all 4 ghosts, and then as the ghosts come out of the thing and you've already captured them all before your pellet runs out, you get a second pellet and you capture all 4 of them again, and you get a lot of points that way. Sorry, Pac-Man is, I guess, a genuine like interest of mine. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, so much snow. I missed my Advent drawing uploads, but I'll try to get those done tomorrow. But we're back home. We were away from home for like 3 weeks. It was nuts. We have now still spent 50% of our time in and away from the apartment. So we're not, we're like, we'll get better. I was thinking about like death, but instead of a scythe, the scythe blade is a moon. So I thought, let's draw that a little bit. We just had, my wife and I watched Survivor. Oddfud and I watched Survivor. And today, yeah, the Swedish word for speed being fart is pretty funny. Let's see. I lost my tablet. My tablet has like a pen that goes along with it, and that's how you use it. And I cannot find the dang pen. I think I lost it in the travel, which really sucks. I need to get on eBay tonight and order a new one. They don't make the pen anymore, so they don't make the tablet anymore. But that's why I have it, because it's cheap, it works for my computer, and I like it. I got it secondhand, and then I am drawing death. Oh, hey, nice. Oh, Garfield is great. Have you seen Garfield Without Garfield? Really a fun uh, cartoon. But yeah, I loved Garfield, especially when I was younger, but I reread a lot of it lately. I used to have Garfield, um, like the book collections of Garfield, and I felt silly when I was younger because a lot of people I knew would have like Calvin and Hobbes or probably mostly Calvin and Hobbes, but maybe Peanuts and stuff like that. And then I had Garfield, and I felt, for whatever reason, I was made to believe Garfield was dumb. But I love Garfield. I don't think it's dumb at all. The cartoon is fun too. Was it Garfield and Friends? I think about that cartoon a lot. Although I don't really remember it very well. I'll do some, make it a little moony. I feel like the moon is more modeled. I always think it's like, oh, Carlo. Yeah, the farm cartoon. That's what I was thinking. Hey, Crastnan. Nice. Easter Island Head coffee. That sounds freaking good. I don't have enough coffee today. But I always think of the moon as like very black and white, but there's like big sections of gray. And like those, there's like the ocean, they call them. And like those sections are what make it feel and look like the moon. And like they're not gray exactly. They're like or the whole moon is gray, right? It's like different colors of the same color that the moon is, different shades or whatever. But there's only like a couple of sections where you really see the craters. I've drawn the moon a bunch, like really realistically. I've gotten the scientific photos from NASA, like the close-ups that they stitch together. I have that on my computer. I use it a lot. Skeleton hands suck. I thought this guy would be fun. He's not terrible. I don't, I don't, I wouldn't, I was gonna say I wouldn't kick him out of bed. Um, oh man, I have a factoid. Oh, that's so great, Mario. Um, yeah, when I was young, I studied, I like looked up the moon in the encyclopedia because I was so fascinated by it. And like when I had started reading very early. My nana really encouraged me to look everything up in the encyclopedia. It's been a huge blessing. We had a big volume of encyclopedias. They were from the 50s, so like a lot of stuff was outdated. Um, Mostly in a funny way. I one time failed a test on, I failed a report on Neptune because I used the info from my encyclopedia and it was so outdated that I was just like very wrong. And then they were like, "What are you talking about, dummy?" And I was like, "No, it's right." I was like indignant. I was like, "No, it is right. I looked it up in the encyclopedia. I know." And like people are wrong, right? So I knew I was right. And no, I was wrong. It was not that in the encyclopedia. My encyclopedia was just old. I eventually brought they were like, "You made it up. I can't believe you do this. You're such a bad child." Um, my teachers thought I was a bad child a lot, and I brought in the encyclopedia. I remember bringing in the encyclopedia and being like, "See," and they were like, "Oh, okay. I'll give you a partial credit or whatever." So I love the idea that the moon is there to keep us company. I think the moon is there to keep us company, even though I don't think it's a big creature. In Doctor Who, there's an episode where the moon is an egg that has a creature inside of it, and I think that's cute. I like that idea a lot. The moon is made of cheese, so cottage cheese used to be a little different, and is also sometimes called green cheese. And basically, you would have a bowl and you would fill it with the old milk and I don't know, a culture of some kind. And you would put a cloth over it, right? And you would let it ferment into a cheese, so like a damp cloth or a cheesecloth, right? So air could get in and out, but nothing else could escape or get into it. Oh my gosh, Winter Devil, that's terrible. Some teachers, man. There was a study that's, well, so let me finish this thing about the cheese. And so when you looked at it from the top, it would be this like mostly even white surface with a bunch of craters in it because bubbles of fermentation would rise up from the bottom and pop on the top. And it would look kind of like the surface of the moon. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is the moon. People used to think the moon is made from cheese. There's one source for that, and it's an interview of a bunch of first graders where one of the questions was, "What is the moon made out of?" They didn't ask adults, they didn't even ask teenagers, and they interviewed these kids like when they were all there. We think they might have interviewed these kids like in a row, so that like one kid would be like, "Wow, I think the moon is made of cheese," and everyone's like, "Yeah, the moon's made of cheese." But some of the other answers we got during that it's not a quiz. The survey was old rags and ghosts. So the moon, people used to think the moon is made of cheese, is spurious at best. Um, Old rags. What am I doing? Okay, yeah. The other thing is, oh, that's great. I love doing characters who are cartoonified, right? Like, I don't think, if you have an OC, I don't think it needs to look realistic. I think, in fact, there's a rule with cartoons where um, if the silhouette is really knowable from a distance, then that's a good cartoon design, right? So you don't want something where it looks like just a regular person, and then you have to, in order to tell who it is, you have to get up close and personal. You want someone who you can see right away who it is, right? So that's really nice. Teachers, man, I had an old teacher. I mean, maybe she wasn't old when I was a kid. Um, but I had a teacher who was one of my worst bullies. Hey, what's up? If you have my drawing glove, it should be on the table on my desk. That'd be really nice.
Okay. I'm finishing up the vlog.
Good night, vlog.
So this is what Chris looks like. I'm gonna go get his drawing glove.
This is what Chris looks like. Who are these people?
And no, I mean what you look like when you're doing your lives.
Okay.
So good night from us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, vlog. Say bye, vlog.
I did already. Bye, vlog.
Where is it at, you said?
Probably on the desk. I don't know. Hey, Vloudy channel. Yeah, so I had a teacher. I used to call her Darth Vader. I was my first ever teacher in school, and she was a terrible jerk. And I much later read a story that talked about how a lot of bullying actually starts with the teachers, and that like the kids bully the teachers, the students that the teachers bully. No, I haven't done 2D animation. I mean, I have done some, but no, I haven't done it for work. I mostly do like greeting card illustrations and just regular illustrations that I sell, and then a lot of over the years I've done a lot of like graphic design and logo design and stuff like that. I looked into 2D animation, and I've never applied for a job for it. I always thought it would be too much, but I think I wouldn't say no. I know it's a lot of like very careful drawing, but I draw these characters every day now. I have a lot of practice. Um, so I think I could do that. There was just a guy, we do these craft fairs. This is a character. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I was kind of just drawing anyone. To start with 2D animation, that's hard. Like a lot of 2D animators animate by creating puppets or animation rigs using 3D render software. For instance, Bluey. Bluey is animated almost entirely using 3D rendering, where they create these 2D puppets. Here, let me show you. Ugh. Yeah, Winter Devil, that sucks. So I have another character, which her name is Stella. So let me draw you Stella real quick. So you would have Stella. Yeah, you'd probably draw her in a T pose. You know the famous T pose? The T pose is a thing. Here, we'll draw on a T pose. The T pose is a thing because of these 2D animation rigs or 3D animation rigs, but we're going to do 2D animation rig. Oh, this is the actual character Stella. Excuse me, actual character Stella. So 3D animation rigs, you do the famous T pose. So 2D, you would have like, hmm, you'd have something called bones. So you'd have these invisible points. So you'd have these points where they would connect joints, right? And then you'd have these points where you pull this and move this around, and the computer handles everything in between. So you would move this to here and say, do the tweening, it's called, the frames in between. And then you would also have ones for the mouth, and you'd have like if you pulled this handle down, then they would open up the smile. If you pulled this handle up, it would curve up the sides. And so you would do rigging. Um, and that rigging is the same thing that gets like, what are they called? VTubers. So basically, somebody does the rigging for a VTuber, and then you link those triggers, these handles and stuff, to events on the actual person who's behind the scene and might have these dots on their face. And then like if they smile, if these dots move up, then you move this dot up and it makes it look like they're smiling. And you have the camera looking at here, and then like AI software, although it's not like an AI chatbot, it's a different kind of AI software. And you have AI software being like, okay, this just happened, move this. And it determines what is happening in the actual video and converting that into VTuber movements, which is just 2D animation rig. So 2D animation rigging is a good place to start if you're interested in 2D animation, because it's how a lot of main TV shows are done now, and it's versatile, right? You can do it for other people. It's not the only there's lots of different jobs and lots of different opportunities if you know 2D animation rigging, it's called. Um okay, yeah, let's draw Mario Rant Central 2. Is this Gang Mario? Let's draw your original character. Let's see. I know you described it here somewhere. Did you say it was fart? Or is that something else? Okay, I lost it. But I remember you said body was a skinny rectangle or a skinny square. Head was a circle. He wears sunglasses. Every time I say sunglasses, I think of that song. I wear my bum 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 bum. He has a baseball cap. I remember you said that. Oh, thank you so much, Winter Devil. I can't remember what you said about his mouth, so I'm just going to go like this. And for a nose, I'm gonna do like the really crazy Japanese video game character cartoon nose. I messed it up. I don't know why. Like, I was looking at old Nintendo games, and like some of their characters really do have noses just like this. Okay, he has hair. Okay, we'll get rid of his nose. We'll get rid of his nose. I like the idea that the hair doesn't, how like most people you have the hair and it grows like out. His hair just like grows in. But no, we'll give him a real hairline. This is Mario's Carlo. He's an OC, not my OC. Your OC. Man, it took me. I'm old, and it took me so long to learn what an OC was. Like, not that long, but longer than it should have. And then I think also part of the problem was when I first started seeing it, and like, so I had seen it a lot and I had just known what it meant without like thinking about it. You know how that can happen? Because like I understood that it was somebody's original character. So like I didn't need them to tell me it was an OC. But, and this is where it gets tricky, I was on some uh like fan websites, forums, Reddits, where people were making art, and the art was being sold of the characters of the show or whatever, right? And so some people would draw the characters of the show and then be like, this is an OC based on the characters of the show, like as a way to like not be breaking the copyright, right? But they would just be the characters from the show. So then I was like, why are they saying it's an OC? Like that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't what does OC mean? I thought it meant original character. And I was really confused for a while. And it does mean original character. So it was just they were trying to be like it was a magic word. Little Mrs. Pac-Man shirt. Baller. Carlos got good taste. And baggy jeans. I'm gonna do like that's too much. Baggy jeans always pull on the bottom. Like it's mostly still straight on the top, although big, and then it all pulls on the bottom, right? Man, so when baggy jeans first started getting big when I was in school, I was so excited. I had a friend, I was being cool for the first time. I had been like a real nerd, and then which I never stopped being a nerd. But then I like once I started buying my own clothes, baggy jeans started being popular, and I was like, because I was buying my own clothes, I could actually wear baggy jeans because my mom was like, no, no baggy jeans for you. And a friend of mine was like, yeah, like let's go get jeans for like clothes from like I don't know what is it like TJ Maxx or whatever it is, one Marshalls, one of those places. And I was like, awesome, let's do it to it. And I got some baggy jeans. And they were like parachute pants. They weren't actually jeans. But I thought, man, I am so cool. Finally, people will stop making fun of me for my tight corduroy pants. That's why I used to wear corduroy pants. And every time I walked, it would be like zip, 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 zip. It was terrible. I hated it so much. Yeah, let's draw some stones. I had a lot of trouble drawing stones. Um, I think a lot of it is context, right? So we'll put it just on the ground. And so like for this, you can kind of just, if this is your ground and this is like something really far away, you can kind of just draw like a little shape and then a shadow. Like the sun is setting over here or whatever. And then any little shape with a shadow becomes, any like a regular shape with a shadow becomes a stone. And then to pop it up to the next what's it called, like the next level, you can add shadows actually on the stone, and then that helps a lot. So I don't like to think, now let's do it a little bit bigger. So you kind of do like a randomish shape. Stones are often buried a little bit in the ground. They don't usually sit directly on top of the ground unless they've been taken out. And then like here, there would be some other shapes, right? And we'd add the shadow. Anything, anything that you want to really exist in the world, adding a shadow helps so much. And now you have to like kind of decide what the actual shape of this stone is, because right now we've the outline, but that doesn't really mean anything. So I just start adding a little shadow here, a little shadow there, a little shadow here, and then it starts like kind of coming together, and I start seeing like what this stone actually looks like, and I can start adding in some other lines and a little bit of other shadows. And then you have some sort of a stone. It's a little rough around the edges. I would get rid of a little bit there, a little bit there. And I did a thing where I made, if you want it to be, so this is good if you have like whatever, right? But if you want it to be like a stone wall, there's a couple things you can do there. So you have like, say you want this to be a stone wall. So first, you definitely want to like have the top be a little irregular so that it looks like stone. And you could do the same with the sides if like this was going to be the actual edge. I was just kind of drawing a shape, but you would want to do something like that. Now, you could go through and like draw each individual stone and do the shading I talked about before. You just choose a light direction and then shade like anything that would be blocked. But what a lot of times you see nowadays is you have like, you draw just a couple stones, kind of like this, and you give them a little shadow, you give them a little detail, and then you draw a couple over here that are a little bit different. Same kind of deal. And maybe one or two over here. And then that will give the illusion of a stone wall. Well, you know, if the edges aren't there, because I shouldn't have drawn these edges so square. You know, it goes on. And that'll give the illusion of a stone wall. Now, another thing is sometimes you want something to appear like it's made of stone. So say you want a giant, like somebody carved a giant T out of stone. And so we're going to sketch out the shape a little first. Let's add a little three-dimensionality to it. Okay. So I think this is probably the hardest one. Because how do you show something is carved out of stone? So for this, I think you have to focus a lot on the edges. You want this to be irregular in just the right way. Just a little bit of roughness around the edges. You can maybe put a chip in by separating out the line on the top here. You can have this one be a little rough. Stuff like that will really help. You can do the same on these bottom ones, or even have them kind of be in the dirt, like I was saying before. Usually something as big and heavy as a stone is sunken a little bit into the dirt. You have a little dirt come up on there. And so that, for me, that's the biggest first step, is getting these like irregular but very straight edges. And this is a good start to getting it to look like it's stone, especially you have the chip. You put a chip somewhere else. Then the other thing you can do is you add like a little bit of those shadows I was talking about, but they're not going to be as the same because this is going to be mostly flat. So the shadows are going to be very light, very small, but just a little bit of shading there. And then as long as you have other context clues, like it's gray or stone colored, limestone colored, then I think you can make this look like stone. But like I said, this one's the hardest. This one I would take a lot of effort, a lot of time, and have a lot of other context clues, like I said. Man, I really struggle with people. I draw people like sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 tries to draw a good person or a good part of a person. It's I'm getting better because I don't shy away from the practice, but it's probably the hardest for me. And then lizards. I draw so many animals. That's a lot of the cards and stuff I do are animals, and I've gotten pretty good at it. But lizards, for whatever reason, I really struggle with anything that's like here, let's do a lizard. We'll do like a head, little neck, some body, and then a tail. And then we got the legs. So like I guess I just don't know how they work. I don't have a lot of practice with them. There's something, I don't know. Something about me and lizards, man. And maybe it's just my perception. Because like maybe I draw lizards fine, but I think they suck. Because every once in a while I see a drawing of a lizard I did and I go, oh, it's fine. Why was I so mad about that? But I don't know. So it might be like I draw lizards okay, but I don't like it. That's a possibility. This is just a random lizard. I didn't use any reference. So if it looks like a lizard, that's actually accidental. It's actually axolotl. Oh no, wait, that's something else. One thing that was really hard for me, but I kind of got over it, was like feet and like birds' claws and stuff like that. Because like you're looking at it, it's such a heavy um, foreshortening that it's like really crazy. Like we all know that that's a like a flat rectangle or whatever, but it's really hard when it's like a foot. But you have to like fit a foot into here and like make it look right? So I practice that a lot. Like here's a duck's foot. And I practice it basically by doing exactly this, like drawing the shape out. Now I try to only draw this shape out when I'm struggling otherwise. But when I first was practicing and I was having trouble, I would draw that rectangle shape where like it would fit into mostly every time. Gosh, you know what I used to do though that was terrible is I used to try to draw the shape of the foot as the shape of the thing, and that did not work for me. Like it was much more helpful to have like a square. I kept saying rectangle, but like a square and be like, okay, that's basically a square. So now I can draw the foot inside of that. And the foot doesn't have to follow the shape of that. Or I don't have to try to draw like this shape, or a duck's foot is something like this from the top. And I don't want to try to draw that shape as a 3D shape in order to draw, because that's the thing I'm having trouble drawing. So, bro, why is this lizard so intense? Okay, that's the bottom of the lizard's throat. So then this, how does the mouth work? Okay, there we go, there we go. It's like its mouth. There's its nose. We can have its, oh yeah, we'll have its little forked tongue. It's crazy eye, and it's just like eardrum. Lizards, a lot of lizards' eardrums are just stuck on the outside. It's madness. All right, lizard guy. It's a weird, weird week. Well, I'll be streaming again tomorrow. I'm back to normal schedule. Even better because I'm back at the house, so I don't have to like go travel to someone else's place in order to stream, which is great because it was really terrible to have to like go to work to stream, and like I had to bring my whole setup, set it up, and then after I was done, break it down every time. And like my setup isn't crazy complicated, but I had left part of it at home. I have like a gooseneck, which is just like one of these clamps. This like clamps onto the wall or something over here, and then this is like it pinches open and holds your phone, and like your phone, here's your phone, and it holds your phone, and then you can record something from that. So like that's what this is right here. It's a gooseneck. And this bends in any shape or size. So I use that to stream all the time because I can set it up. All I need is like the edge of a desk or the top of a chair or sometimes part of a light. I have a couple of cheap lights I got, which are just these. They're a light panel on like a really cheap tripod. That the tripods are bad, but they stand, and that's good enough. And then this is just an LED panel, and it plugs into the wall, and you can clamp the part of the clamp onto here, and then gooseneck. So this is lighting whatever, and then it's also holding the phone that I'm drawing with. I mean, filming with. And so I forgot the gooseneck. So I had the light, but I had nowhere to hold my dang phone. And so I found an old selfie stick. And what I was doing is I had a cardboard box, and I would stand the cardboard box up like this, and I taped the selfie stick to the top of it, but it would still like rotate, and it would fall if I put the, and then I would put my phone in like this, and then I could film, right? This is the selfie stick. But the problem was if I put the phone in like this, the whole thing would topple over. So then I found a couple of like bricks. I would put the bricks on, and then that would hold it, and then I could film, and then the lights would just be like off over here or whatever. So this was my setup, and I had to break it down and set it up. The two lights and the camera and everything. Oh, hey, Chishi. And so we didn't have internet at the place we were staying, and so I had to bring this into the office, clear a space for it, which sometimes was a hassle, then set it all up, and then I could stream from my phone. I have a tiny little laptop that's like terrible and broken and old, but I can watch the chat on that. So then that would be like over here. Yeah, so you said what was the worst characters for me to draw? I really have struggled. I have struggled with lizards in the past, but this lizard came out pretty nice. Oh my gosh. Wait. So that's not bad. Probably my favorite thing to draw, the thing I draw the most, are birds. So I was drawing a bird called Pete the Duck. He's a goose. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, that would be pretty funny. He is a British duck who's always angry. I don't know why he was British. I think he was drinking tea the first time I drew him or something. This is Pete the Duck, but from the 80s. So he's gonna be a little punk. So I don't know. I really like drawing these type of birds. I'm gonna give him like a leather jacket. Sometimes it's really hard to figure out how a clothes. You must have seen these memes before, right? It'll be like, well, I'll actually show you one with the duck. I'll show you in a second. Like, like dog's pants. Do they go on like this or like this, right? And I struggle with that with the duck all the time because you have the basic shape of a duck, right? Is like neck, head, beak. So that's the basic shape of a duck and wings. And so now the question is like, does a jacket go on so you have like the collar and then the jacket to here and then the arms and then like here would be the pockets and that would be the bottom of the jacket? Or does it go on so that like it hangs down like this and the front of like so this way the front of a human jacket would be pointing down more or less, or do you like twist it so that the front of the jacket is facing this way with the front of the duck? And I wonder about that all the time because like I don't know. I've not drawn anything sussy on YouTube. I don't think I would. um, I haven't drawn a lot of sussy stuff um, myself. I've always like thought about it. It when I was first getting into drawing, I was drawing it a decent amount, but I just sort of stopped as I've gotten older, and like I didn't really get into drawing until I was older, I only like doodled and futzed around. But like some of my earliest drawings that I was like, oh, that's pretty good, were a bit sussy. I remember I dated a girl and I would be so mortified. I feel like such a dork now, but at the time she was a decent artist and she would always say she was going to draw like these characters, not not like definitely Rule 34. Let's call it what did the monks call it? What do the what do the priests call it? Oh, self abuse. And I would always be like, "Oh, don't say that." I was such a nerd. This might not be Pete. All right. I didn't really have time today to stream, but I wanted to get back on now that I'm home and I'm back. I know I didn't stream a couple days. I said I was supposed to, but yeah, we couldn't go to the office because of the snowstorm. It was really bad. I mean, there's hundreds of accidents. So it was really bad. We were safe. We were very careful. We were very safe, but we couldn't risk going out in the storm. And so we didn't have internet. All right, let's do a little color on this. I just found my box of 64 crayons. I think I'll use that on the next stream, which will be tomorrow. Get some fun. It'll be fun to switch coloring. Okay. Methods. I thought we would do, this isn't Pete, this is like Pete's college girlfriend who's a punk. Pete the Duck, not a punk, but his ex-girlfriend is one. She is not a mom, and she goes so close for fun. Pete the Duck. Pete. We need to name. We need to name. Let's make her Doc Martens. Let's make them. Let's make them pink. Why not? I love a good pair of like patterned or otherwise weird Doc Martens. They look so good. My Doc, I have a pair of Docs that are red. I have a pair that are black. I don't know where they are. I bust them out every really bad winter, and then they end up getting put away somewhere. And the Docs are great. Good solid shoe, will last you a lifetime if you take care of them. All right, everybody. I think I am going to get going. As usual, really fun stream. Thank you so much. And I'll be on tomorrow. We didn't name this duck. I'm trying to think of a good like Jerica. Is that a name? It's a name now. I guess maybe it's a C. Jerica, like Erica, like Jericho, but with an A. But it just looks like Erica with a J. Well, that's not great. I guess Erica is fine. Oh, CH. That checks out. Get out of here, Erica. Move over, Erica, the name. It's Jerica, the name. That's what her parents named her. Good night. Thanks for coming. See you tomorrow. Say good night, Jerica.